Hello and welcome to My Xbox and Me, episode 379. I am one of your hosts, MC Fixer, alongside the one and only, my partner in crime, my co-op do-op, the gruesome twosome, the man in the streets with me like nobody else. Fresh Kresh, how are you, bud?
No, you're not doing that. You don't play co-op games with me. You're absolutely not doing that. We're not accepting that today.
What do you mean? We play games together all the time.
No. You remember we were supposed to play Tiny Tina's? What happened?
I played with Halo.
Yeah. Wow. Go back to your other partner and try.
And the one and only Mr. Matt P. Video. Matt, how are you?
I'm very good, mate. I'm very good.
Sorry,
We've been playing a game that I hate together, and I still don't like it too much more.
You don't hate it.
There's no way. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. If you didn't know, this is My Xbox and Me, our weekly Xbox podcast, right here on youtube.com/myxboxandme and all podcast services. If you want to get the show early, head over to patreon.com/mcfixer. Get yourself some goodies. A lot of changes coming in the new year, so keep an eye over there. Couple of bucks. I'm talking less than a coffee. $5. Maybe 10 at max. It's going to get you everything. But the changes are coming real soon. Don't forget to subscribe and, of course, check podcast reviews, please. We're begging. We beg. Did we get any new ones, Kresh? Do you know any new ones this week? Now. Okay. Or I'm guessing we didn't. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's one of those ones where I'm just like, I'm just waiting. No, I haven't got a single new one.
Unbelievable.
It's ridiculous.
No.
It's ridiculous.
Get your VPN up, and we'll check through the next 50 top countries and just double check there are none in there as well, please.
Do you know what?
I looked into it. We talked about it at the end of the podcast, and I did not look into it at all.
But America and the UK, you're letting us down. Big shout out to my Patreon producers, Aaron Guard and FNH Paul. Appreciate you boys for supporting us over on patreon.com/mcfixer. Topic of the show this week, boys. Microsoft's Q1 2023 profits and Windows down, but Xbox and devices are up. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella said, quote, nearly half of Xbox Series S buyers are new to our ecosystem, end quote, and then open quote, in gaming, we saw a usage growth across all platforms, driven by strength of consoles. PC Game Pass subscribers increased by 159% year over year. So, things are looking good for Xbox when it comes to Microsoft, when it comes to Xbox. Wording. But we got a question that came in here, and I thought it was an interesting one, and so did the boys. So we used it for topic of this show. It says, and this is from Darth Plagueis the Wise. Hi, sort of a new listener to the podcast. Great listen weekly. But my question is, what do you think of devs calling out the Series S to be scrapped, as it's holding back this generation? I personally have a Series S, and I think it's a nice entry into the Xbox for those who may be on a budget or have a secondary console like myself. Thank you for the question, Darth. We do appreciate it. Kresh, you are the man who uses a Series S as their main console, I believe.
Yeah, I do. I do play a lot of stuff through my Series S. Look, I'm a little bit torn because I get from where certain developers are coming from, because I do think we will get to a point where the Series S will officially be holding back games to a degree. I don't think we're there, because I think this conversation recently popped up because of Gotham Knights.
I think this was actually a different game this popped up because of. It wasn't just
Really?
Gotham Knights.
The Gotham Knights. I saw it in reference.
Okay, interesting. I saw it in reference to a few other things that an article come out about. So go on, carry on, sorry.
I was going to say, like, with regards to Gotham Knights, that game's just poorly optimized. But in general, I feel like a lot of games go for 1440p on the Series S, and you don't end up losing a lot in that game, or because of the Series S in regards to that. I think when we see games try to start pushing more ray tracing and we see more graphical fidelity and more needs coming out of games, we might see the Series S start falling off. For right now, I don't think the Series S is too big of an issue. So I don't really think, I think it's a great entry point. I think even if they get rid of the Series S, it's not like something won't replace the Series S. I think they will for sure have to replace the Series S with something.
More money, Kresh? You asking customers to pay out more money?
No, I'm not saying it should be more expensive, but I think a new console at some point will have to come out.
Okay. I think the Series S is obviously a great device, especially considering from a business perspective, I should say.
Yeah.
Especially considering with Satya Nadella coming out saying half of Xbox Series S is bought by new players as well. That's humongous for the ecosystem. On it holding back, I don't necessarily think so. I think it's a case of it probably takes a lot more time for developers to optimize for both bundles, but it's got to be similar for like low-end PCs, right? Like they have to be able to optimize for everything anyway. On low, medium, is it not similar? I don't know. I'd love to get a dev on to have this conversation. But I don't think it's right now from the games that have come out. I don't think I can think of one game that has come out and I've gone, the Series S is holding this back. Not one. Not that has been technologically, thank you, words, different. Like, I don't think there's a game this generation that's come out on Xbox. I'm not talking about other systems. On Xbox, that I've gone, oh yeah, that could have been so much better if it didn't have to be skewed down to a Series S. Unless you guys can think of one, I can't.
No, not at all.
I think, interestingly, though, we have seen those conversations starting to happen in regards to last gen, right? Like, I think now we're kind of done with it. But Gotham Knights was the game that kind of encompassed that, right? Originally, it was supposed to come out on PS4 and Xbox One, and kind of last minute, I mean, a couple of months before the launch, whatever, they said all of a sudden it's not. And that really should have been the writing on the wall, I suppose. For how Sonic kind of poorly optimized this game would be, unfortunately. But yeah, you're right. We're both playing it on PC. It's laughable to try and get 60 frames out of that, and I'm playing at HD on like a very decent rig. But even in my rig and work, where I can run Modern Warfare 2 at 60 frames, 4K ray tracing, no problem at all. I can't get 60 frames, 2K out of Gotham Knights. So, yeah. And the Series S has just sold so well. If you were really going to scrap that thing, like, it would only hurt games. Like, you'd have so many less people playing those games.
At this moment in time, yes, I agree with that statement.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's a hard one though, because again, it's so easy to be free schmucks on this podcast talking about games and our hobby. When it comes to development, I don't know how hard it is to develop for different SKUs of console. We do know that it's not copy and paste button prompts for Xbox and PlayStation, but I don't know what that looks like for a low-end Xbox compared to a high-end Xbox. I don't know how much more work actually goes into that. And isn't Gotham Knights optimized better for Series S right now compared to
runs
everything
better
else?
on Series S, yeah. But I think Series S, it maxes out at 1440p, where on Series X it doesn't. But yeah, my thing would be that I don't know how easy the process is, because you have to remember, you brought up PC. On PC, you're in control of all that stuff.
Yeah.
You don't really have control of that on Xbox. The Xbox just does it itself.
This is the problem with no performance mode, right? That's why the big issue was of having no performance mode in the game, which I think has become kind of a staple for gaming now at this point. It's like, do you want graphics or do you want frame rate? It's pretty... I'm not going to say it's pretty simple, but it seems that devs have figured that out and should become kind of the new norm for gaming.
Norm, if possible. Yeah. And I think Gotham Knights just clearly wasn't a game where that was really an option from what I've played, and I'm sure you guys had similar experiences with it.
Oh, we got faults, don't you worry. We're getting to what's been in our box, baby. Don't you stress.
To sort of add to this, there was another story that came out that said Xbox came out and said that 20 million players have now tried cloud streaming, and they announced earlier this year it was 10 million. So that's like come a long way in less than a year. I think less than 9 months. And so, like, if that really is becoming the norm, then surely that's going to be the thing that starts holding people back, right? Like, if the Xbox come out with their cloud streaming stick, is that not going to be a massive issue for people?
No, because it's still just the same game being streamed, right? It's not... The development is no different at that point. You still create the game that you want to create, and then again, I'm talking out my arse a little bit here, but I believe it's the same game that you're making, and then they just stream it outwards, Kresh?
It lowers in quality. I'm not too sure how it works, so I don't really want to throw in 2 cents too much into that. But you are essentially, I know that it's something like a Series X was used to stream like 3 or 4 games, and then it loses in quality based off how many people on the platform and stuff like that, and your internet quality as well.
That's kind of what I was getting at, is that the internet quality, like, you know, we always say, right, that frame rate is probably at this point more important than resolution, right? Do we all kind of agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
We do on this podcast. That doesn't mean everybody. Sure. But on this podcast, we agree with that statement.
I respect that. But like, the more frames per second you are streaming, the more data that you are trying to stream, right? And people's internet just isn't quite there yet. I would have thought that will be a bigger challenge for developers to start dealing with if these proper streaming sticks come out.
No.
Nah, it's not up to the developer for that.
No,
That's like your internet and the service provider. So whoever's providing the cloud service, which would be Xbox and xCloud's factor, I don't think it's up to the game developer.
Not only that, it's always going to be secondary. That is never, I don't care what anybody says, that is never going to become the way to play games. It is going to be a way to play games. It's not going to be the way to play games. Just like streaming music right now isn't the way to listen to music, it is a way to listen to music.
But it is the way people, 99% of people listen to music.
But that doesn't make it the most optimal way of listening to music. That isn't the way the creator, which is the conversation we're having right now, that isn't the way the creator intended for you to listen to.
Also,
go on, Kresh.
Also, there's a big difference between streaming music and streaming a game. A game takes a lot more dedication than music.
No, 100. But what I'm saying is,
because Matt's going really hard for this music.
Matt's trying to, but it's not going to work. Not in the way anyone who's an actual. Like, I'm an artist, right? I create. I create something, right? Yeah. And I produce it at the highest quality possible, right? So if someone says to me, "Okay, to hear every detail in this song, you need to listen to it on vinyl, because that's the best way to listen to something." That doesn't mean everyone's going to do that, but it means the best way to do something is that. Doesn't mean it's the most widespread. Doesn't mean it's... And that's what we're talking about here when it comes to pushing games to the next limit, right?
I agree with you. The issue is, if you... Now, okay, we're kind of running out of juice on the music analogy because games are so different. But if you decided, right, because this is the optimum way to play the game, that's the only way I'm going to let you play the game, right? Like, because my music is so high fidelity, the only way you can listen to it is vinyl. All of a sudden, you've massively limited the amount of people that can listen to your music.
Yeah.
Right? And if streaming becomes the norm, and you put out a Modern Warfare 2 with full ray tracing, and only people with the best internet can stream that thing, and that's the way 90% of people are playing their games, then you're limiting the amount of people who can play that game. You're limiting the viability of the multiplayer of that game.
No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. I'm limiting the amount of people who can experience it at its highest quality. I'm not limiting the amount of people who can get to it.
But then you have to make concessions, right? That now you're going to have to make a different version that can.
That's not up to the developer. No, because the streaming service, which would be Xbox, just lowers the quality of it, of what's being streamed. Because you're not streaming the processing. It's not all coming through. You're streaming the video.
Yes.
So it's just like lowering the quality of the YouTube video.
The process is already being done.
Yeah. So I get what you're saying, Matt. And if it was to, if everything was coming to you, if all the info was streaming to you and then locally it was being processed, I think what you're saying would be more accurate. But it's all being processed on the server end, and then the finished product comes through. So I get what you're saying, but I don't agree with it because I think you got the process a little bit wrong there.
Maybe.
From my understanding, we might be completely wrong here, to be 100%
this is
fair.
part of the problem. We don't fully understand how it works.
Look, all I'm saying is, from a creative perspective, right? Creators make the best product they can make with the hardware that is given to them. That is what they're going to do. And then they are going to scale that downwards. So that is going to be the process no matter what moving forward, whether streaming becomes the norm or not. I don't think streaming is ever going to be the best way to experience games. It's watching Netflix. Is that the best way to experience cinema? No.
No, exactly. But yes.
But
we're on
it
the
is
same
it
page.
is the it is probably the most widespread version, but doesn't make it the best version.
Yes. Agreed.
I will say I'm very interested when streaming becomes more popular, as far as streaming games. And there's a large amount of people playing something like Call of Duty on streaming services. And the first week launches and the streaming software goes down and everything crashes and people can't play their game because they can't connect to the streaming service. I'm very interested to see what the reception to streaming is at that point. Because I think that's inevitable to happen at some point, especially when we see most online games launch and servers are down for like 24 hours. But that would theoretically put down the whole streaming network if it happens.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you, maybe to a certain extent. I don't know, like we haven't seen xCloud, to my knowledge, go down yet, have we? It's not like a game has come out and everybody's started trying to stream it. Like we're not
No,
there.
but no one's using it. Not in the way that Chris is talking about it.
100%,
That's not how it.
100%.
No one's using it like that.
But when Stranger Things drops, I don't think Netflix has gone down. And I understand it's a different level.
No, but the same premise.
If anybody can hold up, it's Microsoft. And we see a lot happening, like Call of Duty lands, and their servers, their online servers can't keep up and stuff. Like, they ain't Microsoft. Like, I don't know if anybody can do it. If anybody can pull it off and keep it consistent enough.
No, we're not going to do that because Gears of War had online issues, and they aren't Microsoft.
Really? But they'd only just started.
That's games.
They'd only just begun.
Both the versions of Gears of War, both Gears 4 and Gears 5 had online issues when the games launched.
Terrible issues, by the way. Gears 5 was terrible. So no, I get what Matt's trying to say though. If anyone can do it right, it is Microsoft are one of the companies that could do it right. But yeah, but again, widespread streaming games is still not going to be not going to be a thing for another. Jesus, I think
decade at least.
Decade, yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, I think you overestimate how many people would still rather buy a console.
I also think you overestimate how good people's internets are.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of people in America who would live in areas where you're like, they probably have good internet, just have shitty internet because of the way ISPs work.
Texas, I couldn't do the podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
Let alone stream a damn game. No. I couldn't do the podcast.
I understand that the kind of what's the word I'm looking for? The variety in internet quality, I guess, is like really widespread, and I am very blessed in that I'm in an area that has very good, and so sometimes it's easy to forget that not everybody has the privilege that I have. But these things come so fast, so quickly. Like the idea of streaming 4K video through Netflix 10 years ago would have been like wild, and these things exponentially get easier, quicker over time and cheaper.
You know, you're right, Matt. Being ahead of the curve is really smart. That's why the Dreamcast is still around. Great system.
And Resident Evil Outbreak, we miss it.
Will we talk about Google Stadia in the same way we talk about Dreamcast one day? Just like,
no,
man, they had all the ideas. They just didn't.
No, Dreamcast was better than Stadia.
That's an interesting debate to have.
No,
Dreamcast was more influential than Stadia.
Absolutely.
I don't think that's an interesting debate to have.
No, I agree.
Stadia didn't exist in a bubble in that way. A lot of the stuff Dreamcast did. Yeah. I get what you're saying. I get where you're going at, and I don't necessarily disagree. But like, I don't think people enjoyed. I think Stadia got too memed on. But then maybe you're right, Matt. Maybe you're right. I'll give this one to you. Now that I think about it, I'll give it to Matt.
Thank you.
There's not give it to Matt. That's stupid.
Look, all I thought about was the fact that there are die-hard Stadia fans that in like 10 or 20 years, they're going to create this narrative where Stadia was ahead of its time. If it had come a little bit later, it would have been popping.
Okay. Let me just end this argument, yeah?
Yeah.
Name me one exclusive game on Stadia.
Name me one good exclusive Dreamcast game.
Well, at the time, Cove Runner.
No.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't exclusive. Just saying.
I said a good exclusive.
We're moving on. We're moving on. We're moving on. What's in your box? What we've been playing? Let's start off because we got a long conversation here.
You gotta go
Kresh, what have you been playing?
I've been playing Gotham Knights.
Other than that, anything else?
No, nothing other than that.
So let me go. I'll go first, because I just finished playing about 7 hours of The Quarry. I just streamed that literally today. Finally started my playthrough of The Quarry. And 100% this is in my top 10 games of the year. 1,000%. It's not even close. It is probably... Gameplay-wise, it is probably my favorite Supermassive game. Gameplay-wise.
Narratively, do you think it's better? Yeah, you haven't gotten to the end, so I'm not going to expect you to be fully able to answer this yet. But from what you've played so far, is it better than Until Dawn?
It's up there with it. It's my second... Until Dawn's my favorite still, and I haven't finished this. But this is my second favorite Supermassive game, better than all of the Dark Picture Anthology. Like 100%. And I don't dislike those games either, by the way. But yeah, like it goes Until Dawn, this, and then you can just put them in 1, 2, 3 pretty much for the Dark Picture. I think what they've done with gameplay for this one's really interesting. It's finally added a few things that make it a little bit more enjoyable from these QuickTime events. They come a little bit more frequently if you make the right decisions, which is fun. Because again, I love these games. They're pretty much interactive films. That's what they are at this point, right? But I've always been very critical of, I wish we were doing a little bit more. And this isn't a spoiler, but it's like, take the shortcut. Okay. And it's as simple as left stick up, left stick side, left stick right. But it just adds to that moment that much more than push A, push A, push A. Sure. And I know it's a simple, tiny change. But it adds so much to that world, especially when you're not paying attention. You look away. Oops, my character's just tripped over because of me. It adds. Its narrative's really good. I like what I've been playing so far. It's got me and Haley playing it together. It's got us guessing. We both have different theories on the characters. It's a little bit slow. It takes about 3 hours to get into people possibly dying and things like that, which is it's hard, right? Because they want you to build a relationship with each of these characters so you know who you want to die or you want to save and who you're empathetic to and who's a douchebag. I think 3 hours is a little bit too long to really... to me, you've got the prologue that they always do, and most people know what happens in the prologues. They've actually done something really interesting with the prologue in this game, where it intertwines into the actual story. I'm not saying nothing else, but really, where beforehand it's usually the prologue is 2 characters come in, both characters die. That's how you play the game. You've learned how the game works. This one is very different in The Quarry, and it's very interesting. I've got to a really spicy part of the story where I'm like, I want to know more. I want to know more. But yeah, I'm sure most people listening to this have already played it if you care about this game, but I hadn't because I was waiting for the right moment. I told you guys I was going to knock out some games, did I not? Told you. I ain't got a GTA ticket no more. No more roleplay. Was I in roleplay today? Yes, I was this morning. I got in without a ticket. Don't worry. We ain't talking about that though. Yeah, I really like it. It's definitely in my top 10 games this year, and I can't wait to see the ending.
Ooh. Yeah. It's one I want to play before the end of the year.
You and the missus are going to love it.
Yeah.
And
although we dropped off hard on As Dusk Falls.
Yeah. Wait. Okay, this is better than As Dusk Falls.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like. Yeah. No, I haven't finished As Dusk Falls either. I'm gonna finish it because them stories I like to finish. I think you'll beat this because this is only. I think this is 10 hours long. I'm at 7. 10 chapters. I think it's about an hour a chapter.
I need to play that Immortality as well. People keep talking about that.
Immortality? What's that?
From the live action one, right? Where you scrub through the footage.
Oh, I don't like those type of games. I've got to be honest. I tried.
I don't either.
Tell Me Lies, and it's just weird. It weirds me out. It's like a character stripping, and it's like I'm watching this character talk to me while stripping. It's like I don't like this. This breaks a barrier that I'm just not into at all. For me.
Fair enough.
So you'll have to be the judge of it for this podcast, Matt.
You will.
Okay.
You certainly will.
Fair enough. I'll get on it.
Other than that, that's it. I think that's all I've played. That and then Gotham Knights, which we've all been playing. I've put about another 15 hours, probably. Maybe a little bit less.
Well, I looked at the Steam today and it said both me and you have done 15.5 hours. So there we go.
Huh. I wonder what I was at beforehand then. Interesting.
Who knows?
Who wants to kick us? I think Kresh, it's probably best for you to kick us off, only because me and Matt have been playing together and having a gigantic conversation. So I think you'll have a different conversation to have. So let's start with you. How much more are you hating, or how much more are you enjoying Gotham Knights since the last time we spoke?
I have a roller coaster of a relationship with this game every time I play it.
Yep.
I get to like the gameplay bits where I'm in the world and I'm like, wow, this game's really shit and I don't like it. And then I get to story bits and I'm like, wow, this is so cool and it's so nice. I wish this was like a cinematic type of experience of a game, or it was more. I'm not even going to say like take away the co-op, because I don't think the co-op's necessarily a negative point. Just intertwine the co-op more and get rid of all the looter stuff, get rid of the open world, and just give me this narrative, sort of similar like when we talked about the Avengers game of like, just give me the campaign of this, get rid of the looter element, get rid of all the other side elements that they tried to force into this game. Because I think the world, that the Gotham that they created is very interesting, and I'd love to explore that. I just don't think the game attached to it is that great most of the time.
Once again, they made the big mistake, which they should have learned from Marvel's Avengers, because there's one thing you can give to Marvel's Avengers, which is its campaign, for the most part, is actually pretty good and fun. And if they were just a little bit more transparent with it, and this is what I think they should have done with this. So Despawn was in my chat when I was playing. It was like, do all the white stuff, as that's side content. The orange missions, they're also side missions, and then your yellow missions are your main missions. I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, they should have just started off this entire game, which is you and a friend can play through the main story. Boom, there it is. And then to do all this other content, it opens up afterwards, which is Harley Quinn's over here, and this person's over there, and this person's here. And then you go off and do that stuff, which is how I'm now playing the game. Which is how I think the game should have been entirely designed. Which is, I agree with you, Kresh, which is main story with cutscenes and characters interacting, is this long narrative of 10 to 15 missions. And then afterwards, if you really want crafting and mods and gear and blah, 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 then it opens up afterwards. But during it, it makes no apparent sense and doesn't matter at all. At this moment in time.
I don't disagree.
The only issue with that idea is what we were kind of talking about, which is actually we're kind of looking forward to the main story being over because we don't massively care about it. And I want to go see what Harley Quinn's up to, and I want to go see what Mr. Freeze is up to, because I know those characters and they're more identifiable and they're more fun to interact with than the Court of Owls, which by its nature is secretive and weird and ambiguous. And
I love what they do with the Court of Owls in the beginning until you start interacting with members of the Court of Owls and they start talking.
Yep.
And it's like you completely ruin the mystique of these characters by having so many of them be interactable with. And I also, the enemy types, I'm not a fan of. I think in large of this game, like the enemy types you interact with are just so dull and boring. And it's like they had to introduce those talents where you have to use the charged up range attack.
Yeah.
And it's like the only reason I think that heavy range attack exists is for these enemies, and the only reason these enemies exist is for the heavy range attack. And it's just sort of, and that's sort of a redundancy that I feels like exists in large with a lot of the combat in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, and even to the point where like I'm like Red Hood is sort of my main character. He has a move that's supposed to be like an instant finisher, unless you're fighting an enemy where the game doesn't want you to be able to do that.
You haven't unlocked that,
which is a lot of. What do you mean?
I think they were saying in chat you've got like an ability on your on that character that you can unlock it.
Yeah, I've had it. You get it from very early on. I've definitely, unless you can upgrade that ability to be able to hit targets that you can't know, like bigger enemies with it, maybe. Yeah, but yeah, I agree with you, Kresh. Like those enemies in particular are really annoying. The drones are really, really friggin' annoying.
I just ignore them. The drones I don't even bother fighting. I just literally beat everybody else up and then they blow up.
Yeah.
So but me and Matt have been playing it co-op.
Yes.
So we've been playing it co-op. We decided Well, I decided to get Matt to finish the game, we have to play it together because Matt was going to just go off saying he hates it. Matt, do you still hate Gotham Knights?
Yes.
No, you don't.
But I like playing games with my mates. Like when we're in Gotham Knights, we're like, oh, this is almost good. That's the way we're talking. Like,
yeah, but you don't hate it.
You don't hate this game. You don't hate it. You wouldn't play this game.
I don't think you know what hate is then, Matt. Like, you wouldn't play a game if you hate it.
You got no hate in your heart, Matt.
That's true.
Maybe. my baseline for hate is like up here just because I'm such a lovely guy.
Yeah. I don't think you hate this game. I don't think this game is amazing. I don't think you even think this game is good. I think you think this game is okay.
I think you think the game is bad. And that's fair.
I think the game is bad.
Yeah, you don't hate this game.
When I'm experiencing it with him, I don't...
such a strong word.
When I'm experiencing it with him, though, Kresh, it doesn't come across like he thinks it's bad. Not bad.
I mean, I think I'm having... as your co-op partner, I'm having a significantly worse time than you are.
1,000%.
Because my character doesn't exist in this world except for one cutscene.
Yep.
One shot of one cutscene where my character randomly appeared and ran through a door you were holding open and then disappeared again. Like, this game is like...
yeah. So, the big critique that we have of this game, so we're playing it co-op. So, Matt's not in any of the cutscenes. Number one. Number two, the characters don't interact with each other at all. Like, they don't talk to each other, apart from one mission that we just did, where they finally spoke.
But the game split us up and like isolated us, and then my character woke up and was like, Nightwing, where you at? And your character woke up and was like, Red Hood, where have you gone? But like, you haven't referenced each other for the other 10 hours we've been playing this game.
Yeah,
I don't know.
This game honestly feels like a whole bunch of unfinished ideas in like the worst possible way, which is very, very disappointing. I think this has become more and more of a problematic thing for a lot of games of this nature, especially when they seem to be tied to pre-existing IPs of everything the developer wants to do alongside everything the company at large wants them to do with the game. And everything tries to get shoehorned in, and I just feel like they end up missing the mark by quite a large margin most of the time.
Yeah.
I think... I'm still higher on the game than Matt is, obviously. I'm still interested to see where the story goes, to be honest with you. I'm interested. One thing I will say, which I'm sure 99% of the audience knows about the Batman universe, knows about these characters and stuff, but if you do not, and you want to learn about them, don't bother playing this game. This game doesn't explain who Red Hood is, doesn't explain who Nightwing is, doesn't explain who Batgirl is, doesn't explain what version of Robin this is. It just expects you to know everything. And I hate that about the game. I hate that about the game. Because I'm not someone who knows about the Bat family, and I don't know about these characters, and I was kind of hoping, because my choice of medium to get these experiences from DC is from games, I was hoping to learn about them. I don't.
I think the issue is that it's an unfinished idea without really knowing what it wants to be. Because it's sort of like pick your own character and like you can play through the whole story that way. I wish it was like, hey, you have to play through this character, this part with this character, right? And then you're going to learn about the character through this segment. Or having they sort of do it where you have character stories, quests that you can go on for the characters, but you don't really get anything significant out of them, like to tell you who the character is, to have any sort of character growth.
It's still
with the loss of Batman or anything like that.
It's still super ambiguous. Again, like even with those missions, it's like it alludes to things that, like I'll say, real Batman fans, like hardcore Batman fans, are gonna go, "Oh, okay." But someone like me who knows nothing and comes into this game, it's like, okay, well, this wasn't made for you. This game wasn't made for you.
I don't think as a Batman fan, I don't think this game was made for me either. Because like it's you don't give me enough. You don't give me enough of anything. I think there's some cool like moments, like if you check the emails with Nightwing in particular, there's an email about somebody messaging him about like, oh, there's a blur in Bloodhaven, which is I think it's Bloodhaven. Is it Bloodhaven? It is.
Bloodhaven's Nightwing's usual haunt. Yeah.
Yeah, city, and they're like, oh, there's the one of the speedsters is there, and it's like, oh, knowing the universe, it's like, oh, they're watching out for Nightwing because he's not in the city anymore, and he's in Gotham because of Batman, and so like that makes sense. Like stuff like that, I'm fine with because those are like little Easter eggs for people who know about the universe. But as far as like direct narratives, there's nothing really building these characters or making me care for these versions of the characters.
I still stand by gameplay wise is fine. I don't hate it nowhere near, and I don't despise it the way I think other people do.
Fine.
Comparing it to Arkham, I think super unfair.
Yeah.
And I still stand by I enjoy traversing the world. I still enjoy traversing the world.
The traversal's fine. I don't think the traversal's great. I wish there was more mechanics to the traversal other than grapple hook, press A to jump, and then use your movement ability a little bit. Grapple, press A to jump, and then use your movement ability a little bit.
Who are you playing as mainly, Kresh?
I'm playing as Batgirl, and you do have the gliding and whatnot.
So you've got gliding. If you play as Red Hood, you can jump infinitely.
Yeah.
And so getting around the city is so much easier and quicker. Like I was decided that I was done with Red Hood after our first live stream and wanted to play as Robin, unlocked his traversability, saw what it was, went back to Red Hood because it was shit. Like, it's fun if you find a character that you're okay with. Like,
and then the traversal is.
Yeah,
I wish.
It's fine. But Robin sucks.
I wish the grapple hook was more in depth other than grapple to a point. I wish there were certain like different type of grapple objects you could do too. Like there's certain objects that you can swing off of and stuff like that. But it's all very linear, and I think that's the whole idea with the gameplay of it is all very linear with no actual depth to most of it, which is unfortunate.
Again, it's unfinished ideas, like you were saying. Like the grapple hook, it could be much more fun. The traversal methods could be much more fun. The bat cycle could be much more fun.
That cycle's fine.
They're not.
The bat cycle sucks.
It's not that. It definitely does not suck.
It does because of the frame rate. It feels like it's super slow.
That's a PC problem. She plays on a Series S.
You're flying on Series S. You're like
maybe you are. Maybe you are.
No, it feels like legitimately like not a joke. It feels faster to go on a bike through most situations than grappling or anything like that. Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't feel faster to no, it doesn't. It is faster to go on a bike, but when you look at it, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm coming off of playing GTA for ridiculous amounts of hours, so I'm used to like speeding through worlds and coming off the bike when I crash. So, but playing this, I feel like I'm moving at like 10 miles an hour everywhere I go. It feels so slow.
I get what you're saying, but I don't think it's 10 miles. I don't think it's 10 miles per hour relative to this world. It's fast relative to how you generally move about the world.
That's fair.
But when you're comparing it to another game, I think that's a little bit unfair to be like, well, I'm moving GTA in this speed.
I think it's just what I'm used to, is all I'm saying. It's like coming off of my character in GTA rides a motorbike everywhere, right? So coming off of a bike that nimble and being able to move compared to this chunky tank-looking thing, and it just feels, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, this is slow.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I still think it's a bit unfair.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
I just think like every opportunity we get, we're fast traveling.
Yes.
We're never like, let's just go. Let's just get the bike or whatever.
The problem is the world's not interesting. I think if the world was interesting and you wanted to go through the world, that wouldn't be the case. I don't think it's necessarily a traversal issue. It partly is a traversal issue for sure, but I also think like, well, I don't care about the crimes going on. I don't want to stop it. When I was playing, I think the best comparison for this game realistically is Spider-Man. And when I play Spider-Man, I get excited when I'm going by and there happens to be a crime. Like I'm going to go and stop it because I generally enjoy doing that in Spider-Man. I do not enjoy doing that in this game.
Also, Spider-Man tied it into the world. Like, you would be listening to the radio as you're swinging through the city, and somebody would be like, I got mugged the other day, and Spider-Man zipped straight past me. What a dick. And now you're like, I should have stopped. In Gotham Knights, you have end-of-night reports where they're like, here are all the crimes Nobody ever talks about it. Batgirl doesn't go
That's
like,
a great
hey, you didn't
point.
do anything tonight.
Alfred doesn't go, yo, what was you up to? You did. That's a great point, Matt.
Any little thing like that to make it feel connected would be amazing.
That's a great point.
It's an unfinished game. Like the whole end of night thing, the whole like patrol cycle. I think that's such a cool concept. It's just it doesn't go anywhere. There's no real reason to it. There's no real reason for them to segment off crime days. Like these are the amount of crimes you can find in a day. So if I want to progress a quest, it's like, okay, I got to go back and then I got to go out and then I'm gonna, if I didn't get enough clues, I'm gonna have to work to find whatever. It's just it feels unnecessarily tedious for no real rewards or benefits. Yeah. Even if it was, like you said, like people just talking about it in a more positive way, or there being a news report that's more positive towards the Bat family, or even if you run around certain cops won't stop you now because like, oh, you're actually doing good for the city or whatever it is. It just feels empty of all that.
Exactly. There are encounters that you can run into where the cops are outnumbered and you can save the cops, and those cops will then go, hey, thanks, you're really not that bad. But if you bump
and they tell you
they're gonna aim their guns at you and start shooting at you.
Well, to be fair, almost every audio cue I've gotten with them is like, "Hey, don't tell the other cops about this, but you guys are pretty great."
Yeah. No, you're right. You are right. Matt, you actually have hit the nail on the head there with like the way the world just doesn't talk to each other at all.
No,
you do something and it just doesn't. You're right.
That's not surprising. The characters don't talk to each other. When you're playing co-op, which like that's honestly like that's the first step is you think is like, oh, you're out with another player, like they'll quip next to each other or they'll be beating people up and they'll say things to each other. Nothing. There's just nothing. No lines, no anything.
Nothing.
And like you say, compare that to like a Spider, like I was saying this to Fix on the stream, like in Spider-Man when you were swinging around the city, if Spidey was talking and you stopped swinging, his voice would sound different, right? So why not just have all four characters talking to each other all the times over comms? But if you two are together, then they don't sound like they're over comms. Like there's just no sound effect on the voice line. Do you know what I mean? Just it feels like we're talking to each other.
I don't think they thought that far ahead. I think for them, because they have some really great character moments when you're in the Belfry and stuff like that, and even during certain story beats, there's like some really cool stuff where I'm like, oh, this is actually like really dope seeing these characters interact. Go ahead, Fix.
Matt, what am I going to say?
Only happens in the Belfry.
No, I'm going to say Robin is a whiny little bitch,
right.
And I hate him.
We don't like Robin.
He's young.
I don't give... No, dude. There's being young. There's being a whiny little bitch. Every time he's on screen, I'm just like, shut up!
Can I be honest? All four of these characters are kind of just caricatures of who they're supposed to be and never really go into any real depth of being a character. Like Red Hood's like, ooh, I'm angry, I got resurrected. Nightwing's all like, I'm a pretty boy in this game. And then Robin's like, hey, I'm a young little bitch, I guess.
He's a young little bitch. That's all he is a young little bitch. So and
Batgirl is Batgirl.
I haven't played as Batgirl.
I think Batgirl's probably, like, from my experience, is probably the best written, but I don't know. That could be biased.
But that's it. Like, you don't know unless you play as the characters, right? Like, I don't know. Does this game want me to just play as one character, or does it want me to switch between them?
It's tedious to switch between the characters.
That's very true. But also, like, because if you're out on a mission, you're only going to get that character's perspective on that mission.
Yep.
Yeah. Honestly, like, the missions with, like, the main villains and, like, where you're doing stuff for certain characters should be tied to, like, character-specific people and stuff. And there should be more involvement. But, like, the fact that you can go and do a Harley Quinn mission and you can do it with anybody just sort of leaves a void in the interaction between you and the character to, like, sometimes it's a hit and then sometimes it's a miss depending on who you're playing at the time. Like Harley Quinn and Batgirl's interactions are kind of cool because they're like, oh, girls' night out or whatever when you first meet her in the jail and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, whatever. They're building it, playing off that. That's fine. That's whatever. But then when you play on with other characters or other interactions, it falls kind of flat where there is no real thing. And it sort of feels like, here's a voice line and we're going to fill in Harley Quinn, or even with Alfred in the Belfry. It's like, we're going to give him a voice line that's static no matter who you're playing. And then we're going to give the character an interactive voice line that might be sort of more tailored to the situation. And it just feels uninspired. It feels boring at a lot of times. I don't know. I feel like this game fell short in a lot of those aspects without wanting to deliver this 4-character campaign without ever really delving into the 4 characters.
And still, with all that said, I still have fun playing it.
Yeah. I go in and out of enjoying this game. I think I've seen some reviews that gave it like a 4 out of 5 and a 4 or 5. And I think those are a little bit harsh because I don't
agree.
think the game's not broken. As much as people want to talk about frame rates, there are frame rate issues. The game is not broken. I've played worse games that are borderline unplayable that have gotten higher review scores. And I think that's kind of absurd.
Yeah, I agree. Matt?
I got nothing else to add.
Okay.
We'll finish it and we'll see what I think. I do worry that the narrative is going to drop off a cliff, and I'm going to start to not like that either. Because I'm
Dude, we're
kind of
at the
already
end.
there.
We're at the end.
Well, yeah, but like what we were saying of like the Court of Owls stuff, like is like
It was so cool in the beginning. There's so many cool stuff they could have done with Court of Owls, and the route they chose, I think, is
I
not
guess
great.
as it unravels, it's less interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. And it has started to unravel. Like the mystery is getting solved, and I'm like, oh, bored.
You don't
Yeah,
like
no,
the
I agree.
answer?
Yeah. I mean, they could flip another twist, right? Maybe they will. And it's like, oh, what you thought?
Have you finished it, Kresh? You finished the main story?
No, I haven't finished it.
Okay. Yeah.
I think you guys are more than likely ahead of me.
We should have it. The main story we should have done on Friday.
Is that the plan?
Yeah.
I thought that's what you said, Friday.
I don't think I'm free for it anymore.
Okay. Oh, well, maybe when you're free next. Okay, we'll figure it out.
Okay, no worries.
All right, sweet.
We'll figure it out.
Moving on. Got some big news. So this week's dashboard, there's a tweet come through from Todd Warren. Phil Spencer on Xbox Keystone. Quote, Keystone was something that we were incubating internally. Late spring, we pivoted to working with Samsung. I still have the prototype, which is referenced in what we spoke about last week, I believe. Or the week before. We will do a streaming device at some point. Will we do a streaming device at some point? I expect we will, but it's years away. So that is a quote that was taken from The Verge from Tom Warren on Xbox doing a streaming device. Keystone, I don't know about dead, but
that's
years
saying it's
away.
dead without saying it's dead.
Go on, Matt.
How does this change your
Matt's face
perspective of
says everything.
streaming? How does this change your perspective about streaming at this point, Matt?
Not at all. I would I don't know. I could see either side of it. I'd kind of be surprised at this point if they I don't know, because they have said they built hardware into those Samsung TVs that allows them to use that app, right?
Yeah.
So that's essentially taking whatever was in their Keystone
And
slightly different components or whatever, but like putting that hardware into that TV to make that possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess they need to bring out a Keystone because there'll be so many TV unless they can make, and who knows what their contract with Samsung looks like. Maybe they've locked them in for 10 years to say ours are the only TVs you can build it into, but you can bring out a Keystone that allows people to do it on their LG TV. They just need to buy your hardware to plug into their TV.
If the TVs are successful enough, would there be a need for a streaming device?
If it's locked to Samsung.
Yeah.
It's still a need. Even if they're successful, it's still a need. Because ultimately, look, I've got an LG OLED, right? And I love the idea of getting a Samsung for this, and I'm just like, I can't justify doing it. TVs, you don't replace TVs every year. Most people don't replace their TVs every year. They buy a TV, it lasts them, I don't know, 10 years.
I wonder what the market share is for Samsung as far as TVs go. Because I think that also affects the answer. Because if they hold like a large percentage of it, go ahead, Matt.
But also, what Fix just said is spot on. Like, even if Samsung had 90% market share in TVs, which they probably don't, their 2022 TVs don't have that. Like, it's so many people are rocking Samsungs from the noughties.
Yes.
And so you'd still want to tap into that audience potentially through a Keystone.
Right, but two things. One, it costs to actually make the product. And I'm not talking about just like having the physical product and making them in a factory. I'm talking about like actually figuring out the product and the design. And then B, it's also expecting there to be an attachment rate to it. Because you could put out this product, and even as popular as xCloud is, people might just not buy the device because that's not something they're interested in, interacting with it through a device like that.
True.
And so there are risks to it. So I do think if it is popular enough, depending on the market share that Samsung has, maybe they're like, okay, we'll try and partner with LG as well and throw it in another big name alongside Samsung. I think that might be an avenue that they look in. I'm not saying there won't be a physical device. I'm just saying, like, if it is popular enough, I could see them trying to circumvent actually putting out something of their own.
I think I would have thought that it's worth doing because it's not just people who don't have an Xbox that you're targeting. You're also targeting people who do have an Xbox. Like
you could do.
You've got your Xbox. I got my Xbox in my living room. I don't want to move it into the bedroom, but I'll buy a 50 quid Keystone or whatever to plug into the back of my TV in there and use that.
Buy an old Xbox One.
Yeah, but you won't do that.
Yeah,
No, I got
know. So yeah, so I think because I just think like the potential audience for it is so huge, because it'd be like a low cost way to play Halo, like that's almost a good enough sales pitch right there. Like,
potential audience is the big key. Doesn't mean you're guaranteed anything.
No,
right. No, of course, and like you said earlier, you have to have the internet connection to keep up. That makes it a viable product in the first place. Which isn't everybody by any means, but I mean, I guess when they say it's years away, that could be 2 years, but it could be 5. And if it's 5, I think it's less likely that it ever actually happens because I think they're more likely to build deals with the TV manufacturers through that and just do what they've done with Samsung.
Even with the TV manufacturers, I still think in 5 years' time we have a streaming device. A device that is solely Xbox related, a streaming device, 100%. In the next 5 years. I think there's too much money left on the table for something like this, even from idiots like me, that are just like you just said, I do not need this device in any way, shape, or form. But if it's priced appropriately, probably $75 to $100 is probably my max. Is 100 is my max.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think you would be the target audience for something like that.
No, I'm not the target audience. I agree. But I'm a schmuck that will buy something Xbox branded. And I think there's a lot of people out there that would.
I don't think their goal with a product like this would be to move units of the hardware itself. I think it would be to get people into Game Pass and into things like that. And I don't think getting you to buy it and knowing that you'll buy it, I don't think that adjusts their viewpoint on selling it at all.
What I think it does, though, is if it's portable enough, it's a case of, I'm going to my uncle's for Christmas. I own it. I'm going to my uncle's for Christmas. Oh, let me bring this with me. Oh, I don't play on Xbox, I play a PlayStation. Yeah, no, this is just a device that goes in your TV. Oh, if you checked out Gears of War, boom, there it is instantly. I think it opens up that word of mouth conversation that Xbox doesn't have right now. Outside of, and it's like, here is just a streaming device, boom, done. It's like your Amazon Fire Stick, but for gaming, boom. I think it's worth having. I think it's worth existing. Because my uncle's not going to have a Samsung TV built in with it, and he doesn't know that that's there. But a little device that I can just bring around and plug in, boom, easy sell. I think so.
Yes.
I think so.
I have a question for my Xbox and Me audience. Because we are the hardcore of hardcore, and I'm wondering if somebody has tried this. Can I cast my phone to my TV, streaming xCloud through my phone?
If you have an iPhone, I think you can. If you do the air share or whatever.
Yeah, you can airdrop it to the TV.
I wonder how much of a horrendous experience that is.
Why would anyone want to do that? Why would anybody want to do that?
Because just airdropping your phone itself is a pretty downgrade in quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just thinking if it's legit 5 years out, what if that technology gets so good that your phone becomes that device?
Too many steps. Even airdropping something to my LG TV is a nightmare sometimes. I'm just like, this is not worth it. I'll plug a HDMI in. It's easier. I think I get what you're saying. I still think having a physical, as long as it's cost effective, a physical device is worth having.
Yeah.
I do
No, I
think
agree.
it's worth having.
I agree. It's just 5 years feels like such a long time to me in the world of technology.
Bro, we were in
Um,
COVID for 2, and we're still in COVID, but like big
Yeah.
COVID was 2, and that flew by.
I think the first time we should be on the lookout for whatever Keystone ends up being is whenever they decide to cycle out the Series S. I think that would be the first time for them to like be looking at releasing a streaming console or streaming device.
Or whatever the next console
Because
is.
I could see them doing a Series S and be like, hey, it's going to be smaller, it's going to be a little bit more compact, but we're pushing streaming on the device even more or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, so when you say cycle out the Series S, you mean bring out a new Series S?
A new version or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. I thought you meant like
No, it's not like stop making Series S.
You think they stop the Series S and keep the X going?
Well, I think they stopped the Series S before they stopped the Series X. Not when I say stop, I don't mean like hard stop. I think bring out a new iteration. Yeah, because like we had the conversation we had earlier. I think is valid to a degree sooner for the Series S than it is the Series X. Like I think the Series S will need an upgrade sooner than the Series X would.
I just don't think you can split the generation like that and people be okay with it. You've told me that I can play all my games on Series X or S, right?
Yeah. No, I think I don't think you're wrong, but I think at some point that messaging is going to get muddy because it has to.
At some point it will.
They use their X
or we'll get
and they go, well, you still can play it on your Series S through X Cloud.
Yeah. Or we get another situation with Halo Infinite where that game should not have been on Xbox One. And I think that game ran into issues because it was on Xbox One.
Yep.
One more news story that's come out from Tom Warren's Twitter again. Phil Spencer hints at future Xbox Game Pass or console prices increases at WSJ Live, which I guess is Wall Street Journal Live, I'd assume. Sounds right.
Yeah.
The quote here is, I do think at some point we'll have to raise the price on certain things, but going into this holiday, we thought it was important to maintain prices. I think we see Game Pass price increase before we see a console increase price, personally.
I think we also get a game price, like a flat out increase to game prices, and they start selling that $70 a piece as well.
Oh, interesting. So you think they match Sony?
Yeah, I think that change is like inevitable. I think Microsoft's held off it because they still have Game Pass and they still have like, hey, we have a really affordable way for you guys. But if you guys just want to buy the game prices go up.
Do you think there's any way that they don't raise prices online storefront?
No. It's all going up.
Yeah, I think it would go up all around. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, like game prices have been meant to go up for a very, very long time, and they haven't. They've remained unchanged for a very long time.
From a certain extent, from like a business point of view, it kind of just makes Game Pass even better as a value.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's how they're going to sell it. Which is unfortunately we have to. Unfortunately, let me put my PR voice on. As game prices get more expensive, we have to raise our prices. But we have a fantastic service for only insert number here. I don't know what it costs right now, so whatever it goes up by, which allows you still to get your great experiences on Xbox Game Pass wherever you want. Blah 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 blah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we had this conversation not too long ago. I remember it's like, what is our no price for a service like Game Pass? Because right now I think it's at $8.99. So okay, I think in the UK that's pounds. I think we see it go up to £10 a month, right? Which means the $14.99 goes up to $17.99 for the ultimate for everything. So it's like, when are we going to get to that point where we're like, no more? Because people are doing it with Netflix. You're seeing Netflix losing users hands over fist year, right?
Netflix had a huge growth recently.
Interesting. Because of the Dharma stuff, probably?
I'm not too sure. I don't know exactly what it is. So I don't want to put in info where I don't know.
I got you.
Just a quick correction so people don't jump on us. Game Pass Ultimate currently $14.99 a month in the UK, and Game Pass Console Game Pass console is $9.99 a month, which I think.
Oh,
is
okay.
$8.99.
Oh, you guys have the same
$8.99.
price as dollars.
It's $8.99. Yeah. Oh, our pound and dollars is exactly the same, bro.
Oh, that's crazy because you guys are usually less than us.
Dude, do you remember?
Wow.
I remember back in the day when £10 was worth $20.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's how bad
Like I
our
said-
economy is, Crash.
Like I said last week, we're getting to the purge, Crash.
It's getting bad.
It's getting bad out here.
It's getting bad.
You guys know the first place you guys are ransacking?
Yeah. Your mama.
My local CEO.
I'll buy a ticket out real soon.
I don't even want to do the rest of the news, guys, because we've been going for an hour anyway. So let's do.
There's also not much.
There's not much anyway, but let's do a couple of questions before we get out of here. Remember, if you want to email in, myxboxandmepodcast@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Twitter with the hashtag MXAM, or you can join the Discord, which is in the description below of video and audio, and join the Discord and ask some questions. Again, we have some changes happening to the Discord real soon, so you're going to want to be in the MC Fix Discord so you get first dibs on the other Discords. Might be stuff coming, who knows. First question. Sarah Squid69 says, who is the best waifu in Persona 5 Royal? I want answers from each host. The opinion lists are below. So we have Tamika An. I'm going to butcher some of these names. Nanjama Matiko? Kresh?
Yeah, Crash, can you just take this?
Thank you.
You want me to do this?
Yeah.
Just do the last name. Do the last name only. Don't do the first name.
All right, well, then, go on then.
Futaba, Haru, Kasumi, Sadayo, Tei,
Oof.
I get this.
In Chris's defense, the text is very small. Very small
Yeah.
text. Okay.
And it's like Scrabble letters.
Fubi, and then Ichiko. Oh, Haya. Like, some of these characters use the last name in the game, and some of them use the first name as well. So I'm like switching between which one.
I haven't played this game at all, so I don't know any of their character traits.
I want both of you guys to pick just off of pictures only. There's one wrong answer that you should not pick, and I'm going to just let you guys go.
Exciting.
Go on then, Matt.
So I am drawn to Tay. She's giving me Trinity from Matrix vibes in the underground club scene right at the start, and I'm digging it.
I'm gonna pick Fat Tabby.
Fucking knew it.
Yeah,
knew it, Futaba. I knew it. That's the wrong answer, Fix. It's the one wrong answer.
Because she has sexy glasses on and she's clearly a streamer, so she's going to understand that we're on
She's
different...
not a streamer. She's like 15, bro.
Oh, that was why it was the wrong answer. All right, MC Fix is cancelled. It's now the
How old she is, but she's younger than everybody else by quite a margin.
Cancelled.
She's also like your sister in the game. That's just all sorts of weird things.
Bro, what the? You set me up, bro. What the hell?
I knew it. As soon as this question came in, I saw the question. I was like, I know who Fix is going to pick.
You set me up.
Stuck in the dryer.
Sarah, no, wait, how old is the character?
I'm looking it up right now. She's 15.
No, come on, bro.
Well, to be fair, in the game, the main character is like 17 or something like that. So
Yeah, but you set me up here, Sarah Squid. What
Still
the
not
fudge? That's ridiculous. How have I been set up? You could have warned me, Crash. You could have said,
I told you
there's
a
only one
wrong
character.
answer.
No. You could have said there's only one character on this down list that you're not allowed to pick because of...
I said there's a wrong answer. I didn't mean that by personal preference. Personal preference, there's a lot of wrong answers.
In the game, are all of these characters romanceable?
Yes, every single one of these characters is romanceable.
Well, then
you can
quite
romance them
frankly,
all at the same time as well.
That's on the game, not on you. At that point,
But she's underage.
Not for the character. Character's like 17.
Harold's... But you said that's his
Still
sister.
not cool.
It's not really his sister. It's like his sister. When
Wait,
Fix gets the game, he'll find out.
No, Matt. 2-year rule. When you're a youngster, 2-year rule, right? No?
Half
Is
your
that
age
not
plus 7.
Half
It's
your
a
age
thing
plus
over here.
7.
Always works. Always works.
See,
No, it doesn't. Wait. No, it doesn't.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't always work.
Test it.
Have
Give
you
me an
aged
example.
level 7?
So,
No.
okay. So just so we're aware, yeah, because we're getting into a weird territory.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I did a 2-year 17. I would still date a 15-year-old, but now thinking about it, that's 100% wrong.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, you shouldn't do
no,
that.
I agree with you. When I was growing up, like stuff like that happened as well. Like that was a normal thing. I
Yeah.
think now, if you can get it now, I think that's weird. A
No,
17-year-old
that's
dating a
100%
15-year-old.
real. It's 100% weird. Just like a 30-year-old grown man talking about these characters on
15-year-old.
screen. Yeah.
Yeah. Matt picked
You
the right
realize,
character, though.
Kresh, you realize you could have just not mentioned that, and then that way, no one would have known until I would have known, and then I would have been like, oh god.
We need
Yeah,
to.
but it was funny.
We need to retitle this week. MC Fixer gets cancelled.
I would like to retract my statement, and can you tell me the oldest character on this list, please?
Definitely. bottom right.
There's 4 characters that are okay. I'm not telling you what it is. You can
okay?
make another guess. They're okay of age. They're good. They're old. They're older.
I give up.
Here's who you should pick.
Move
You
on,
should pick-
move on. Next question. Sarah Squid, you set me up and I hate your guts. Next question. Dovan says, and this is our last question before I get out of here because I'm blushing. You may have heard a game called Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator game. You may have heard, sorry. So with all the Xbox acquisitions, including Activision, including
the
Activision
Activision
one. Oh. If they made a Xbox daddy dating simulator with all the male protagonists in the Xbox umbrella, such as Marcus Phoenix, Spyro, Crash, Bandicoot, Master Chief, blah 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 blah, which one would you choose to date in the game? Also, you have to choose if two of you choose and one of you doesn't, who the other one doesn't has to buy 2 pizzas. Okay. We're getting into the weeds here. Sorry.
Very quickly before we jump into this, we have to cancel Dover as well because Spyro definitely underage, and you included him in that list, so you cancelled Dover.
Harold's
Is he underage?
He's a
Spyro's
dragon.
supposed to be like
I don't
a
think so.
child.
Yeah, he's a child for dragon, but dragons live millennia, bro.
Oh wow.
Spyro should be canceled for this question.
Spyro is 24 years old.
Rubbish.
Oh no, wait. Spyro may be
Like,
at
the
least
game came
12
out
year
24.
old. Yeah, the game
Oh,
might be
it's
24
canceled.
years old.
Dover's out.
Spyro's 12.
cancelled.
I'm just saying. Do your
Sorry,
research.
Dova.
Dover's canceled.
Yeah, fix your research.
You set me up. You set me up, Batsy. You set me up. I love how Todd Howard was in this list as well.
Phil Spencer's in the list as well.
I mean, if I had to do, I think Gears of War would just be where I would go because it's got a bunch of jacked up beefy men. If that's where I would go. Personally.
Marcus Phoenix is the most daddy person on this list, so I'd pick Marcus Phoenix.
I feel like they
My
all are
instinct was
though, in the latest
Coltrane.
games. Yeah, Coltrane, Marcus. I mean,
Coltrane's too much daddy for me. Can't do it.
Respect that.
He's a big man. But yeah, the questions this week, Jesus, we got into some intro. I'm
This
gonna
question was
have to
asked in
start.
response to Sarah Squid's question.
I'm gonna have to start screening these questions. I can't trust Kresh anymore, guys.
I put in all the questions. Fix, you should be screening the show notes every week.
Kresh,
That
are we
is your
gonna tell
decision.
people what happened with this week's podcast? You pulled me off of a live stream that I forgot about the podcast.
That's really not my fault.
I next time I want this question worded. You are the same age of these characters. Now pick a wife.
Yeah.
That's how I want the word, because that's where my mentality went. And I only picked her because I thought she was just move. Let's plug and get ourselves out of here before I get cancelled. Matt, what you got to plug this week?
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I say it all the time, but me and Fix streaming Gotham Knights. I'm a little bit less moody when we're actually streaming, and so it's a good laugh, innit?
I like it. I like it. It's been fun. I think Kresh is jealous. He's turned up and watched us a few times.
I only watched you guys once.
We didn't stream
I was
twice.
jealous.
You was jealous?
Oh, also,
I wasn't jealous.
Nah, you was jealous. Okay, all right. Yeah,
For Gotham Knights?
sorry.
No, go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say, if you do watch the stream, you will find out at the same time as me whether or not Crash owes me a pizza. It was very exciting. Will Batman be alive? Will he be playable? We'll find out together live on stream.
I feel like you're gonna be heartbroken by the end of this game, Matt.
All I need is one quick time event. Come on, WB
Quick time
Montreal. Come on,
You have
WB
hope now.
Montreal.
Yeah, there was no hope before. Now there is hope.
Oh, mate, there was hope. There's always been hope.
Kresh, what you got to plug this week?
I got nothing to plug. Watch the podcast, listen to the podcast, leave a review, leave comments on the YouTube, leave questions. Do all that stuff.
Okay. My plug this week is don't cancel me. I didn't know these characters. Like straight up. Like don't. I'm not in the mood for it. I don't want the banner. I'm already a Tottenham fan. I have to put up with enough with my sports team. Just don't. All right.
The move is to get Tottenham to cancel Fix now. So if you guys can start adding Tottenham.
Do not at Tottenham with me saying anything. Do not do that. Do not do that. But yeah, whatever. Until next time, we'll leave it. See you later. Keep on gaming and good boys.
Love you, bye.